My relationship with my family since COVID. My sister is not going to get vaccinated. She has all kinds of immune problems and has gone through all kinds of medical issues for decades. So she's worried about, bad effects. But I understand that.
I would say it probably improved my relationship with my family because it got a little bit of the illusions that I had, or the dream. My dreams kind of changed. They became more refined during the lockdown. So I think like what I want is like kind of an image of like those that left impressions on me, like my dad and all the great men I know, like my grandfather, and they all had families, they all worked really hard, and they understood like the importance of like being here, being there, and so I kind of decided that that's kind of, I always kind of knew I wanted to do that too, but just the dream became more real, and I kind of saw the consequence for leaving home for a long time and coming back and seeing what you have. And so I guess I don't know, made me want to be more of a family man, more of a good hard worker, Yeah.
Well, I don't have much extended family. Parents passed quite a while ago, so initially, no. Certainly keeping in touch with folks throughout for the pandemic to make sure they're okay. But we've all been hunkered down, of course, for over a year. So.
Yes, I think it's brought us closer. Maybe closer in the sense that we've had hard conversations and we've learned to adapt to differences in opinions and differences in lifestyle, and create more compassion in the way that we interact with each other, and listen deeper instead of going through the motions of just like, hey, how are you? How's it going? Like actually like listening to what's really going on and how we can really support each other.
My biggest fear during all this, I guess, getting it, getting this horrible disease and dying young. In the beginning, it was, cleaning every piece of mail and package and food that came into the house. That's kind of funny now, but at the time it was really scary.
I never really had an issue with it myself. I've certainly known people who are susceptible to that as part of an isolation thing. But I sort of have a daily regimen that I go through for meditation and just kind of getting yourself in the right frame of mind to approach the day and hope for the best.
Learning how to shift my experience with fear from that of running toward it or from it to just letting it envelop me and shake me completely into a whole new, like I felt like an earthquake, and now it's just like a new resurrection of a different kind of home in my soul, like from my center, from that deconstruction of like the loss of control and the facing of the fear. Just a new kind of resurrection of self through fear, but also through grace.
I did, feel very scared, and I just had to kind of shed a lot of skin. I had to grow up. It was really what I had to do. And I'm still trying to grow up, and I do want to grow up. I think everyone should grow up, There's that whole thing, never grow up. But I'm like, hey man, consequences coming. It's getting bigger every day, Think about how you want to leave the world, thinking about, you know, who you want to have around you. And it's really important. It's really, really fragile.
Yeah, we're a very individualistic people, and that makes me sad. The good thing that has come out of all of this is that, like, the veil has been lifted on all the inequality in our systems, in all of our systems. So I think that's terrifying and exciting because, you know, I think a paradigm shift I think we're living through a paradigm shift, and I think that's so painful, but so hopeful.
You know, throughout history, like when some horrible thing happens, like a war, and then like after the war, like people are thinking more communally. They're more grateful for the time we have, you know. And I think that that's kind of a universal change or shift I've seen in people in big crowds. They're happy to be out, and they're happy, you know, they're kind of settled into a kind of positive, you know, outlook. They're kind of more grateful to be around. We take it for granted so much to just be close to someone, you know. So I kind of got like stranded in Ohio, and I spent like a month and a half with my family. And you know, we were really careful to wear masks, and we had to like clean everything. And we, you know, I went shopping for everybody because I was like young. And but then like that kind of took its time, and I still had to go on my little personal journey. So I just decided to go back to Nashville and just board myself up in my room. And so a lot of it was just me in my room, just by myself, and I had books. I felt like Lucia Berlin was my girlfriend. It was pretty cool.
I had to confront my habits as that alienation came forward, because it wants to pull you back into that fear. It wants to pull you back into that control and pleasure seeking and habit seeking that keeps you locked into your own devices and your own grasping for something to hold you when you're afraid.
My unconscious or my subconscious, whatever you call it, was in control for a long time, and I'm only now starting to see that. So I went through this period where I think I went to every bakery in Cleveland, and I just went on a dessert spree.
I think there's a certain mindset that you have to have during a situation like this, where the entire world is going through some definite hardship. You have to sort of turn inward to find the right space where you can operate on a daily basis.
By finding stillness, learning to sit in the discomfort every day and enjoy what that brings and what comes up, and not taking anything for granted, because each moment is very sacred to me.
Yeah, teaching online, that was a whole new experience. Teaching acting online, it was a bit crazy, but we made it work. But yeah, I mean, I have a sense that we're all a little bit more present, if that makes sense. Like, we know how short time can be, you know, and we're not here that long, as the cabaret song goes.
I think the majority of folks have come together rather than apart. And I think there are, groups of folks that may have never interacted or cooperated before that aren't now. So I think that's the positive to take away from the experience, that we are, as a society, having to rely more on each other.
Kind of felt like I got into a kind of life that I didn't really want to leave. And, you live where you want to live in Tennessee, seems like you're stuck in heaven, and like heaven suspended for like a year and a half, and it just made it that more special, but that much, you had to do a lot more soul searching, and I feel good about it. Honestly, I think the quarantine did a lot of good for me in terms of like refining the kind of person I wanted to be.